Hey guys and gals, Trevor here with Carrot, and we've got something a little bit different for you here. I'm sitting in a room in Dallas, Texas, with some amazing investors and clients of Carrot, and it's the first time I've met any of you guys in person, which is pretty cool. But then we've got Adrian here as well, and this may be a complete bust of a podcast, we'll see, but the audio quality definitely isn't going to be the same as it normally is. We've literally got my cell phone and Adrian's cell phone on the desk. We've got a camera set up over there, so if you're watching that might work. But hopefully, even through the non-optimal audio, you guys are going to get some great messages from the people sitting around this table, because collectively, between Blake in Chicago and Jamie in Dallas and Rashad in California, they're closing a lot of deals. And Adrian over here, who's in multiple markets, closing a lot of deals. But that's not the thing that I want to talk about the most. We're going to talk about that kind of stuff in your guys' journeys a little bit, kind of riff back and forth and have a good conversation. But I kind of want to dig into the life stuff, because there's people in different phases of life. Some of us have kids, some of us don't. 25 years old, 26 years old?
Probably 26.
26, closing bunches of deals, big markets, smaller markets, lots of cool dynamics here. But let's go around the table for a few minutes, just kind of introduce who we are. We'll go clockwise. Jamie, start first. Introduce who you are, where you're from, what market you're in, and what your business is.
Yeah, awesome. So Jamie Woolley, I am in the Dallas-Fort Worth market. And my business is wholesaling, flipping, and doing some buy and holds. So we're trying to grow the flipping business and definitely trying to keep a lot of rentals. So pretty basic, honestly.
And so she says basic, but she was saying the numbers yesterday. So you share what you want to share. You don't have to share things, but I mean, it's not a couple deals here and there, right? So you guys are doing a lot.
We did about 100 deals last year, a little over 100 deals last year, and I'd like to do 150 or 200 this year. So yeah, I mean, I'm trying to grow it and grow it quickly. So it's a tough market here in Dallas. It was tough to get into. It's costly. I've made a lot of mistakes, but it's so much fun. It's my passion. I mean, I'm blessed to be doing it. I was actually talking to my dad on the way up here this morning, and I said, this is so awesome. I wake up pumped to do, what I'm doing on a daily. It took me 32 years to find my passion. How blessed am I to be able to work and do what I love at the same time and make money and have the freedom that I want and have people on my team. I know you know that with your culture and what you're doing. And I enjoy everybody that's on my team. We all have just, very similar values and have a great time doing this. And I think it's such a blessing, because I know there's so many people that don't get to do what they love. They're working for a paycheck, and so I'm just blessed ultimately.
I love it, and we'll kind of dig into some of her stuff here in a bit. I'll pass it on over that way, Adrian. But speak up. We'll want to speak up so we make sure the audio gets here. But Adrian,
so this is what my
who you are? Who is Adrian?
Teasing. Adrian is. I've been on you. It's so egotistic, but this is my fifth time, so all of you should know who I am.
You are the most celebrated guest in Carrot Cast history is Adrian.
No, I'm of course I'm on the Carrot team, head of customer strategy. So my role is really to help our customers succeed, right? But at the same time, also building my own wholesale business. I'm in multiple markets and heavily rely just on online marketing. Mm-hmm. So it's really cool to kind of see our clients and see what they're doing as well.
Big time. And Adrian was one of our first 100 customers or so. And I remember I was telling someone a little bit ago that with the business, you always have your ideal customer avatar. It's if I could work with customers like this, and I always joke that we don't have an avatar. It was it was a real person. It was Adrian. And it was a guy. It was if we could have 1,000 Adrians, then we'd be amazing, because this guy, he executes what he's supposed to execute. He reuses the resources. He doesn't complain. He digs in and gets the work done. He helps us get better. He challenges us. And then he brings a lot of other people into the fold. So it's just so cool that he's been working, full-time pretty much with this last 2.5 years, which is pretty cool, while you're running your business.
Yeah.
I love it. Over there, across the table.
I don't even know who you are.
I know who you are, but we didn't actually officially meet yet. So.
Well, I am Ashlyn. I am 25. I just moved to Dallas-Fort Worth from Houston. So just joined Jamie's team. I'm just learning everything. So just joined in to kind of listen to see what else I can absorb. New to the business. So excited and what to come, yeah.
So before we move on, what'd you think of of like the mastermind stuff. Is this the first time you've ever been in a mastermind?
First time I've ever been to a mastermind. I've been to conferences. My background is real estate. Again, I'm only 25, so not a lot, but been to MBA conferences and all that good stuff in the corporate world, and this is just completely different. It's amazing how everybody is so willing to share, and it's just a family. It really is. So I'm truly blessed. So everything has made sense this week, but it's just, grasping everything and then implementing that later on in the business. So yeah.
And that's so cool that you get. I know when I was 25, I was not a part of any masterminds.
Right.
I didn't get to experience that world.
Right.
So that's something, just having that ability to be around people like this at any age. It doesn't matter what age it is, but that early on is just so amazing. So I love it.
Super, super blessed. Yeah, for sure.
Blake?
That's awesome. Hi, I'm Blake McCray from Chicago, and we have transitioned into basically lead generation company. We're wholesaling deals and then holding or then fixing and flipping the easy ones. So we try to take the easy rehabs and wholesale off the heavier ones to the other investors. So, last year we jumped in with Investor Care at probably it's going on 10, 12 months now, and went all in with online marketing and said, hey, I'm going to give this not going to try it. We're going to do it for 6 months and really vet it out just to see, I felt like this is where we needed to be, and that was how we were going to generate our leads, and went all in. So, we had great results and super excited with just from our lead generation. Was able to do 25 deals last year, and which seemed cool. And then Jamie comes in and did 102 deals.
You're like, I did like 25 in a day.
Right. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I got some work to do, right? So, but no, it's been just a lot of fun and learning. We learned a lot this last week, and excited about our business and where it's going.
Dude, one thing we were talking about it the first night, I think that we met here officially, but you and I have talked on the phone several times and emails back and forth and stuff, but I remember vividly when we were on the call, and I experienced this a lot, the business I'm in, and you guys do too with sellers and buyers, but you were skeptical of the online stuff. Like, you knew it could work because you saw other people work it, and there was some level of trust that you had for us, even though you'd never worked with us, but still there's that skepticism in there. Kind of how did you push past that, just as an entrepreneur, whether it was with Carrot or whatever? Like, how did you push past that? How did you make the decision so you're confident enough to move forward? Because this is a big investment. Yeah, it wasn't $100 a month.
No,
you're jumping in multi-thousand a month contract with us.
Yeah, I came in and was like, I think I knew that like in our before that I owned a turnkey business, and where we offered 100 offers a week through the MLS, and we were able to do as a team collectively in 2016 116 deals.
It's crazy.
But it was different. And when I exited out of that and knew that we wanted to go a different direction with our business, and when I was looking at them, I felt like the online part of it was a key component, and that's where the future is going, is to the internet. And I think sitting down with you and Adrian, and you just really laid it out to okay, here's your market. This is what we see on how many, how you need this many leads, and this is what it's going to cost per lead. And I'd already done some deals, so I kind of knew what our average wholesale fee should be, and then it flips. So, I think part of it was just really trusting what you guys have built as a brand, and seeing what's out there in other investors, and just as I said earlier, kind of like your core to your roots, and just seem honest and good people, and but you had the data behind. You can be a good person, but you have the data to support that too. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm going to jump in. Let's do this for 6 months, and if you can get me the leads, I'm confident we'll get them closed. Yep. So
I love it. So I want to add some context before we make the next introduction, because we're at a mastermind here. We mentioned that, but everyone listening to this is probably like, what mastermind are you at? So we're in Dallas at the Investor Fuel Mastermind with Mike Hambright, and one of the things I love about going to these, you always meet new people. And when you were up there today doing your presentation, every single one of them, it's amazing what they're doing, every single person. And I had no clue what level you were running your business at. You've been a Carrot customer for quite some time, because his website's the version 1 website. I looked at him you've been a customer for at least 2 years. So we're going to get you dialed up to the next version of the Carrot stuff here for you. But introduce yourself, and also give us a quick little snapshot of kind of what you talked about in the mastermind today, who you are, what level of business you're doing, and kind of where you started. Let's start here now. We'll kind of talk about that starting story. how you got over it mentally. Did you leave jobs, things like that? We'll start with you. But who are you? What market are you in? What's your business look like?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Rashard Sullivan. I'm out of California. A lot of people, when they hear California, they always think, the great cities like San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego. I'm actually in a city that people drive through that, I just happen to live there. It's called Modesto. It's about an hour south of Sacramento, 5 hours north of Los Angeles, just for some context for your listeners.
Yeah.
For me, getting started in a business, man, I was in college and I just was on bigger pockets like most people. And I was like, I thought real estate was cool. I didn't think it was for me. I was ready to get a job. I was working in corporate America at a job, paid about $35,000 a year or so. And when I graduated, I was like, I'm still living at home. Why not give it a shot? Let's try this real estate thing and see if I can make something of it. I thought I was going to buy some rentals and just kind of get some passive income coming in. And so I heard about direct mail, I heard about getting started that way. It was a good avenue to start. And so I started out with that, and for 6 months, it sucked. I burned up probably $10,000 in credit cards, like getting mentors and sending out mail and just doing it ineffectively. I probably had 2 contracts. They both fell out of escrow. So it devastated me. I was like, am I even going to be able to do this? But in that 6-month period, I remember I met a broker who was a top flipper in my market, probably does about 200 houses a year or so. And he was like, yeah, if you ever come across any deals, let me know. We could do something. And a couple weeks later, I found this deal and pitched it to him. He was like, nope, we're not doing that. And sold him on it, like, dude, we're going to make money. And so we ended up doing the deal. And, 4 months later, we flipped it, made $30,000. And so that was good. It paid off some of my debt. But I was really unfulfilled because I was like, in this 10-month period or so, I made $15,000. 9 of that is net or so. It's like, really, did I make any money? Like, this is stupid. And so I just kept going after it. A few months later, I ended up buying this one house from a lady who just really needed to sell. Ended up totally giving her a great solution. Her house was really bad. Flipped it, made about $65,000. And from there, I was convinced, like, hey, I can do this. Mm-hmm. So from there, kept going forward, kept sending out more mail. It was just my avenue, my bread and butter. I signed up for a website, but did nothing to it. Yeah. I actually went through a course that you had taught and did some of the stuff on there. Didn't hire anybody to do it. Didn't really know what I was doing. Kind of just left it alone. Mm-hmm. Got a couple leads from it. But just found out that direct mail is my bread and butter. So I just kept going after it. And 2017, I bought about 13 flips. Didn't really know what I was doing still. I only sold about 7 of them that year. Did a little under $500,000 in profit, gross profits. I just kept going after it, man. Today, I quit my job in the middle of 2017, and now I'm just looking to scale and grow my operation and do a lot better. So.
And he's 26, almost 26.
Yeah, birthday's in actually 3 days.
Didn't know what I was doing, just did barely have a million
just kind of did a $500,000 in profit.
Exactly. Oh, that's awesome. So for a few minutes, let's kind of chat about that startup story, because that's something I'm always fascinated in, because in order to be successful in anything that we do, we've got to leave what we were doing and leave that old mental attitude and go towards something else. Blake, Jamie, let's hear yours. We heard Rashad's. What was your guys' startup? So what were you guys doing before real estate? How'd you kind of get that? And then what were some of the early failures and successes?
Definitely. So before all of this, I was working for my father. He has he's retired at this point, but had a contracting company. And so they did installs and sales for Comcast, Time Warner, things like that. And I ended up just working for him out of not knowing what I wanted to do. I had my daughter when I was younger. I got married. I stayed home for 4 years, with her. And I tried to start a golf marketing company. So, I was a good golfer at one time. I probably couldn't even hit the ball at this point. But I thought, this is easy. Why don't I just go to golf courses, talk to the pros, get in with the owners or, whatever company is managing that property and try to get these discounted cards put together. And then once I get these cards put together, I can sell them online. Again, no experience in marketing, anything, whatever. And so I was selling these cards. I don't know how any of it happened. I really don't know how it all transpired, but they weren't going to make me the money that I wanted to, do all the dreams and aspirations that I had. And so, my dad said, why don't you just come, answer the phones, do some dispatching for me, for a year or so and figure it out, So I thought, okay, I'll do that. Well, I'm definitely a daddy's girl. And so I got in there and I enjoyed working with him and getting to see him all the time. Him yelling at me wasn't always that fun. But so I ended up getting stuck there because I ended up running the office, hiring all the girls in there, training them, doing all the payroll. I mean, there was literally not one vacation in the past 8 years before I started doing this that I didn't have the laptop and I was working, doing payroll and stuff. So anytime it ever even crossed my mind that, hey, maybe I could do something else, it's like, but no, like what would happen, with my dad, and he had run the business just fine without me there, but I thought that was this saving grace, that I kept it all together. And then one day, I don't even know what it was. I just woke up and thought, I can't. This is not my life. First of all, I'm not somebody that sits behind a desk. I'm not detail-oriented. Everything I'm doing, I despise. The only thing I like is that it's with my dad, Yeah. And the pay's not very good for that position either. So, Rashad, I was right there with you about, the money that I was making. And although I'm married and my husband does very well, he's an entrepreneur. We have our own lives, our own bank accounts, all that kind of stuff too, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I wanted more. And the only thing I could think of that I enjoyed doing was renovating houses. And the reason I knew how, that felt was because when we were so broke, we had to get, an old home that was disgusting inside and, all the old shag carpet and the wallpaper. And we didn't have enough money to pay somebody to do it. So we lived with his parents when my daughter was, 6 months old and sweat equity for 6 months. I loved doing that. At the time, I never thought of it as a business. There was no HGTV shows everywhere, and so I did it and I loved it. But I never growing up knew what I wanted to be. My parents both, educated master's degrees. My mom was a teacher. It's like rich dad, poor dad, it's a perfect example. It's like, you go to school, you get a degree, and then you get a job and you retire. Unfortunately, I saw my dad be an entrepreneur though, so that intrigued me, and so really I thought, let's flip houses. Why not? There was nothing else I could think of that I would like to do ever in 32 years, and so honestly, I just I took real estate courses at night. I didn't know anything. I'm like, well, you have to be an agent to flip houses, right? So I took the real estate courses in the evenings. I would get home from work. I do it all online. No one knew that I was doing this. Like, I kind of kept it to myself because I do have an entrepreneur mind. So I'd be like, what do y'all think about me doing something like this? And then everybody would be like, that's so stupid. No, like, you're good. You're set, So I was like, I'm not telling anybody. I'm just doing this, So I got my license. It was the coolest thing. I put the for sale sign in my parents' house the day, like, I passed the test and got my sign. And they're like, when did all this happen, I told my dad, I was like, listen, I'm doing it. I'm 4 months. I'm bringing in somebody. I'm training them. And in 4 months, I'm leaving. And my dad, God love him, but he's protective. He's like, well, real estate goes up and down and the market and, so he was a concerned father, which drove me even more because I'm like, are you saying I can't do this? Like this is not good. And so anyways, I just let everybody know. So there was 2 technicians that were installers that were twin brothers. They'd inherited a house from their dad 3 years before. They were about to lose it to tax default. And they said, I'll sell it. I knew enough to be dangerous to run comps a little bit on the MLS. I'd just gotten my license. So I made them an offer. We negotiated back and forth a little bit, and they sold the house to me. Again, I knew nothing, so I'm just like going off the cuff here. And I flipped my first house, and I made $30,000. Was hooked, like hook, line, and sinker. Like, that's almost what I made an entire year of work. Like, this is so cool. Now, then again, I didn't really know what I was doing. I'm just like, unfortunately, throughout life, I jump in head first, and I have to learn the hard way. So I started knocking doors, calling on Craigslist. I didn't have the funds to do this. My, dad was supportive at that time, but my husband's like, look, you had something good going. Like, if you want this, figure it out. So I'm like, okay. So I said, can I have a loan for $5,000, and asked my dad for a loan, and he's like, yes. So, I was bootstrapping everything, but it was what I really, really wanted. And so I was making cold calls on Craigslist for sell by owners, knocking doors. I got my first house on Craigslist as far as my first wholesale deal, but didn't know it was really a wholesale deal. And somehow the end buyer called me, found out my information, and said, hey, I'll give you $120,000 for that home. Well, I had it under contract for $80,000, and I was like, hold on, that's $40,000 difference there. You mean I don't need to renovate it or don't? So then I realized what a hotel deal was. I started Googling, I'd gone to a few meetups then, so I kind of, texted and called some people that I'd met, and like, that's wholesaling. You can do that. Here's how to do it, and walk me through the basic steps. And I mean that, in your first 2 transactions, which that's not normal, by the way. It was, I call it a luck thing. It can be a luck thing, a God thing, a working hard thing, whatever it is, but it was a thing. So 70,000 in 2 deals. I mean, I was sold. I'm like, this is it. I'm done. I was in love, And I mean, it just transpired from there. So I got into a coaching program, and then I got into a mastermind. And from then on out, I've been so blessed to have just people share what's working for them. And I don't mess around. Like if you're telling me this is what's working, I'm definitely going to try it and do it. And so I was just blessed to have made some good profits on, my first few houses that I could spend money in marketing, and then I could spend money learning from, high level individuals that were willing to share and be so abundant, with what they were giving me. And I really just copied it. It's nothing special. I just copied it and ran with it, honestly. Yeah.
You put your head down and worked, right? I mean,
there was some work. Yeah.
Big time.
There's some work. It's simple, but it is hard work. And I mean, I would say for probably the first year and a half, I mean, I was up till 2 or 3 in the morning every morning. I'm still a mom. I'm still a wife. So taking my daughter to school, taking her to her practices, still, I never wanted to have to sacrifice those things. There's only been a couple things when I'm away for the 3 days on a mastermind that I missed a volleyball game or something, but that's like it in her entire life. I've been to everything, which is so important to me to be there for her, which this business is, it can give me all of that and her all of that, but it takes a good 2 or 3 years, in my case at least, to grind. And it was a lot of grinding. There was tears. There was, there was days where, you get excited, like for someone that was not making a lot of money and didn't know how to manage a business. Like, I've got 70,000. Okay, well, I can take this mentor and I can market and real quick it's like, oh, it's all gone. I didn't realize that it takes a minute to come back, and so there was times where I thought, oh gosh, like, am I going to be able to continue to do this? And with marketing, again, it takes a while for it all to, kind of start working, good 3 to 6 months until you're having that consistency. And so in the beginning, I was nervous many times. It was like down to the last couple dollars in the bank account. And I thought, oh my gosh, like, I can't fail at this. What would I do? Am I just going to go be a cashier at Walmart? Like, I wouldn't even, not saying that's bad, but what would I do? Like, I don't even have any, the only skills I have is like office stuff. And I hated that, so like, what would I do? So I just got really blessed and worked really, really hard and had the right people on my team. And if they weren't, learned to get them out quickly. And so it's been a journey. It's definitely been a journey, a rough journey, definitely. But I don't think anything amazing or good comes with, without a little bit of hardship along the way.
And I want to talk about the hardship stuff here in a bit. But Blake, let's circle around to you, man. Point the mic your way. But kind of what was your journey? So have you been doing real estate since you were born? Or was there a transition somewhere? Like, what did you do before real estate?
Yeah, no, I came, I was the first, it was like the go to school, get good grades, and go to college, and you have a great life. And so I was the first kid in our family to go to college. So I went to work for Wells Fargo in the corporate world. But I'd always been an entrepreneur. I mean, I'd been mowing yards like when I was like in 6th grade. I always had like a business ownership mindset. But it was, I realized in the corporate world, like I was only as good as my last month. And like, what did you do for me yesterday? So I started out in 2000 and worked my way up in the corporate world and realized, like, man, this isn't really the life that I really want. And I can't really be in control of my destination. So in 2006, the best time to get into real estate, and I say that jokingly, I jumped in August of 2016. I bought a 7-unit building with a house, and then we bought a duplex the month after. Another duplex. Yeah, right. 2006. So, like, basically in 90 days, I bought like 14, 15 doors. Just kind of like jumped on it, but I did it. What's crazy, the banks financed everything. The only thing that I did right was I bought in the right area. So, I was buying in a market that cash flowed really well. There wasn't a lot of depreciation and a lot of appreciation in it. So, that was the only thing I did right. But then the market, shortly after that, like, a year later, crashed, right? So I really had no idea what I was going to do. I had these rental properties that were kind of cash flowing. And so I'm like, man, I'm just going to continue down the corporate world. And luckily, a childhood friend of mine who had been very successful through some other, through his mentorship, I had called him several times and reached out to him. And finally, he's like, I'll train you. So I jumped in 2011, 2012. I had a mentor that trained me how to wholesale. But it was an interesting thing. Like, I had to like hunt him down to like, he's like, I'll meet you in Chicago in like 2 weeks. And, he never came. He never take my phone calls. And finally, but one of the things he did like 6 months later is he said, hey, Blake, he finally called me back and was like, hey, Blake, what, are you ready? And I'm like, dude, I've been calling you for 6 months to train me. Like, I read the books that you told me to do.
Yeah.
Like, you would call me and I'd miss your call because I was like in the shower and my wife's like running and throwing me the phone. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, answer it. And, miss call. And I'd call him right back, wouldn't take my call. So, but what he said to me is like, Blake, are you ready? I'm like, dude, yeah, I've been ready. Cool. And he's like, a lot of people want to be trained, they want help, but they aren't really willing to do the work.
Yep.
And so he laid out the plan and do this, don't call me back until you've done it. And I did it. Like, it was like I couldn't get it done fast enough, right? I called buyers and like I jumped into wholesaling. So, thankfully to him, I owe all my whole, like, really I owe everything to what his training, and I just followed and worked hard, and that's thanks to my parents. That's the one thing I've learned in life is just work hard at it, don't complain, and at least some good things are going to come out of it, and then put myself around the right people. So fast forward, I jumped out of the corporate world and full-time in 2012 into the business, and just, it's been a journey. I've had partnerships, and those have separated, and my wife and I have the cool thing, I think through those hardships, it's you learn and grow from those, and been able to have my wife come alongside me and work full-time, which, it's funny, when she quit her job, everyone was like, why do you want to go work for your husband?
Yeah.
We had just been married, so we're in the honeymoon phase, so like it was really cool to be together 24/7, right? Yeah. And then now we learn our own swim lanes, and we learn how to grow in our business, and you grow in your marriage, and kind of how to navigate all those things. But it's just been a fun business to build together and learn and grow and continue to, whatever setbacks you have, you figure it out, and you keep moving, and you get surrounded by like the mastermind that we're at this weekend. I mean, you put yourself around just great people that are doing great things, but we all have, it's funny, as great as everyone's doing, we all have these limiting beliefs.
Oh, big time.
Right? And it's like we're all thinking like, God, we're doing all these deals and this is happening, but like, what am I doing wrong, right? And so it's like interesting to put yourself around those people and then just open up and share from your heart and how you can continue to grow. Let's
talk about some of those. Like I think that's a great dude. I like that. Let's talk about some of the limiting beliefs, right? Because I think, like you said, no matter what level we are in our businesses, or even if you're not an entrepreneur, like we all have limiting beliefs and sitting everywhere. Do you guys have examples that are popping up that you had a limiting belief earlier that you had to get over? And do you guys have examples right now that you've pinpointed even the last 3 days of the mastermind, like, oh man, this is a limiting belief I need to get out of right now?
Yeah, I think, one of the things starting out was like, you get friends and family looking at you. I was a corporate guy.
Yep.
And you're going off to start your own business. So everyone's like, you're doing what? And, I'd done well financially, but not well enough just to go out and start a real estate business. I didn't have really that much money because I wasn't smart with it. Learned some financial disciplines. But I think even today, like like I want to build a team.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, can I lead a team? Can I get people, like how big of a team can I continue to grow, and like training them? And so you continue to like doubt yourself on some of those things. Like, should I grow a big team or should it just be like a small team and handle that? So I think it's, you continually have like certain challenges.
Team is hard. It's like, I know for Carrot with my previous companies, I didn't want employees because I thought that employees equaled a pain in the butt, because that's kind of what, like, my dad is the most positive person in the world except for when it comes to employees. we were talking about that the other day. And he's in a type of business where it's low wage employees, so it's just harder to find great people. And so I heard that a lot growing up. And so with my companies, that was a massive one. It's like just VAs or assistants or contractors. I don't want employees. That means benefits and this and that. And now with Carrot, we have 18 full-time people. We have other people that we're looking for. And I'm excited to find more people, because I'm just going, man, if we can get more people plugged into this mission that we've got and get people more focused in on what they're great at and their unique abilities, it unleashes me, it unleashes them, and I'm pumped about it now. But I had to go, it was like a 3-year process getting there. It wasn't immediate. Do you guys have any limiting beliefs you guys can remember that you had to get through or that you have right now?
I think for me, kind of add a twist to this. So to me, I think my limiting belief was more through pride. I think as entrepreneurs, we tend to really feel like we can do everything ourselves, right? Now, I know when we get started, we got to through that hustle grind. We got to do what we got to do, but then like we kind of begin to see some success, and we think it's all based on our efforts, which it is, right? Because you're the one putting the hours, taking the risk. But eventually, I think over a while, you begin to have this sense of pride, like this becomes your thing, right? It becomes about you, it becomes about your mission, it's about my accomplishments. And I think as you begin to have that, versus, like you said, the culture at Carrot is built around a mission, right? It's not about Trevor's ambitions or Adrian's ambitions or anybody's ambition. It's about how to impact our communities. So now it's become more of outside of us than about us, right?
Yeah.
So I think, to me, that was my limiting belief, right? And I think because of that, and through that success, ambitions, it start being selfish. So that's when the family suffered. That's when I'll be open, relations with God suffered. Through the success, yet they're the driving force and the energy behind it. But then it becomes all about me, right? And someone made a great statement. I forget who it was. He mentioned how
it was James. That I know when you're talking
about. like we get upset with our spouse because here we think we're providing a great lifestyle, we're doing this, we're making all this sacrifice, and we get mad at them for wanting that time. You know what I mean? So I think that limited belief is there's so many dynamics to it, I guess. But for me, I think it's just knowing, you can't do this by yourself. You need a team. You seek out experts. I would reach out to Jamie, say, hey, help me build a team, because I know she's doing it. And going to these masterminds, I just kind of hits you in the, like, shoot, you're not the big dog in the room anymore. So it kind of kills that pride and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So different spin to limited belief, but.
Yeah, and just kind of compound on that. So those who weren't in the room here at the Mastermind, one of the investors, James Wacob, is that how you say it?
Yes, I think so.
Out of Tennessee, and he buys tons of houses. He's got a big business. He described his story, and it was really impactful. And he's describing that story where he's working a ton, and he remembers going home and he'd be looking at his phone, and his wife was like, I don't remember what his exact words were, but basically, I need you. I need your time and your presence, not just your time. And he's sitting there thinking, like, I know I have, even in the past year, where it's like, but babe, like, I'm building this for the family. Mm-hmm. And she's like, well, the family's right here and you're not here. You're not present. And that hit me big time. Like, I think anytime we start to think of that and go, well, I'm doing this for the family, once you get past the point to where your back's not against the wall anymore and you're paying the bills and the family's comfortable, everything else is something external. It's either ego or it's to prove something, or it's something deep-seated in our past that we're trying to, maybe we didn't have much growing up, so we're trying to pile up a bunch over here for safety and security more than you think you need or something. I don't know, but those are things that are interesting, got me thinking about a lot after you were saying that. What other limiting beliefs are popping up for you guys?
So, I mean, when I first started this, again, I didn't really know or have too many expectations. I thought, well, gosh, if you could do 1 or 2 deals a month, I mean, that's a lot. Like, there's no way in the world I'd ever do, 40, 50 deals a year, 100 deals a year. I mean, never would I have imagined 2 years ago if you said, 2017, you're going to do 102 deals. I was, are you kidding me? Like, what? No way, And so, but going to these masterminds, going to, events and being with higher level people that are like-minded, but they're doing more than you. They're mentors. They're somebody that's been there before you. Every time I'm around anybody in that environment, whether it's a mastermind or, just a, meet up, with, a few friendly investors, within the city or something, the bar gets raised so much, I thought, well, maybe I could do, this many deals in 2018. And then I hear somebody like Corey Peterson, say, well, I got, these 2 multifamilies with 200 and something doors in just 1 year. Or I listened to someone who went from, 0 rentals to, 50 rentals in a year. And I'm like, well, hold on. Like, how do you do that? So every month, every 6 months, every year, I just my goals keep changing, my beliefs keep changing, and I just keep meeting more people, hearing more people's stories, and what I used to think was no way that's possible, and definitely not for me. I mean, maybe somebody's doing it, but they just got lucky, or they had a friend with a lot of money, or, you know, somebody held their hand the whole way. And now I realize, no, it's just real people that are working really hard, and you really can achieve anything, you know. And every time, you know, each year it just blows my mind to where my vision goes to what I would like to do or could do later on in the future. And I think it's important for people to see that, you know, that just very raw and real, that, you know, from, again, my goals every year just are blown away just because that limiting belief of there's no way you can't do that, or surely I can't. And then you meet someone else and you're like, wow, we have the same story and they're doing this and they're only 5 years ahead. I could get there too. It's insane.
I love it.
Yeah.
What about age, man? Because I know when I was younger, and this is an obvious one I'm going to throw out here.
Oh, man.
Because when I was younger, I definitely had to get over an age limiting belief. You know, when I was an entrepreneur, trying to be an entrepreneur at the very beginning, and pitching like consulting contracts or whatever, I was just thinking, well, why am I old enough to be doing this? And I'm 22, and I'm pitching consulting contracts for people that are 45, 50, 60 years old. So were there any limiting beliefs for you around age or anything else that have popped up, and kind of what's going on now?
Man, Trevor, I was trying to avoid this one. To be honest with you, I mean, it's frustrating. I get it all the time. I mean, you know, I forget how old I am sometimes. I really do. Like, I don't think I'm like 40, 50, whatever. But like, I just think that I just run a business. I just try to run a business the best I can, and I try to put that stuff away. But it's frustrating because I get reminded a lot. Like, literally all my contractors could probably be like my father. They're at the age of that, you know, they're like double my age. And like, I get around a lot of people that are older. Obviously at Masterminds, you got a lot of older people. I'm generally the youngest person in the room. It's pretty tough. But yeah, it's hard, like mentally, like when you hear people like, man, when I was 25 and blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, I try to forget all that because, you know, I don't look at myself as being 25. I should only be here. I'm just trying to maximize what I can do and try to be the best that I can be.
Love it.
And it's frustrating because, like, unfortunately, you're in a business where there's a lot of older people, and you get that a lot. Like, I get that. Got it here. Every event I go to, I get that. You're like, how old are you? Like, it's frustrating, but you just got to push past that, man. You got to put the blinders on. You got to stay focused, and you just got to have a vision and a goal. And I think we all talked about it here. Like, we all work extremely hard. Like, I'm not afraid to put in a lot of hours, and none of these people in this room got here by magic. We didn't buy a course that got us, you know, a bunch of deals that are coming in our pipeline. Like, no, we put in the work, and a lot of tears. Like, I could be honestly vulnerable. I've cried many times. Like, is this going to work for me? Can I even still do this? And then when you start to have a little bit of success, it's even more daunting because you look at someone else do, and you're like, man, like, I'm not there, and you feel like a failure. But it's like, man, you're running your own race. And I like what you were talking about last night. We talked about it for a little bit. It's like we have all these number goals that we have, and it's like, really, like, it should be bigger than that. It should be about a bigger purpose. Like, it should be about helping people as well. Like, it can't be all about you. You didn't get here by yourself. Whether you want to call it God, the universe, whatever your thing is, like, God's hands over all of our lives for our businesses. Like, we're able to do this because He has blessed us and give us grace to do that. And it's not even just God by itself, but I mean, your family, your friends around you, people uplifting you to continue to do what you do. It's like, it's amazing, man. It's amazing for us to be entrepreneurs. It's like out of the norm, like we're able to do this. And man, it's just an honor to be able to continue to grow my business and be around you guys and continue to aspire to do more. So,
dude, I love it. Someone was mentioning something, I think it was at the last Mastermind I wasn't at it. I think it was Matt Andrews said it, someone that everyone sees what we're doing as like magic from the outside. And when I heard someone say that last night, I'm like, oh, that's so true. That from the outside, your friends, your family, even people who are wanting to get started in whatever we're doing, they think it's magic. And I know at a certain point, I had the same thought when I was getting my businesses started. I'm like, man, that guy or that lady up there, it just seems like that they're just there. You know, you don't see the journey, the journey that took to get there. And that's something I've got to remind myself of. And one thing I'll kind of piggyback on this is I think it's our duty to make sure that we're spreading that out to other people around us to go, hey, if you want more in life, whether it's money or whether it's more time or whether it's just confidence or whatever, like more of whatever it's going to make you happy. If you want more, it's sitting here in front of you, but it's not magic. You got to, like you guys, every single person here said, I had a mentor or a coach. Every single person said, they had moments of tears or, probably mentally thinking about possibly giving up at certain points. Every single person here, this is actually a good transition. You guys are all marketing the crap out of stuff. You're not just sitting back waiting for stuff to happen. So I'd love to kind of talk about that a little bit, because all of you guys are honestly doing a little bit different stuff in the marketing. Let's kind of wrap about that. So you guys are closing a lot of deals. What are you guys doing right now in this market to be able to close the deals that you're closing?
Yeah, so Blake will jump in. I mean, right.
Get it. Thanks.
Get it. Got it.
Over there.
Yeah. So no, today I'm purely going SEO and pay-per-click. That's what I've done the last 10 months. I'm getting ready to. That was the direction I wanted to go to, as I think I alluded to talked about earlier in the podcast. So that's been very fruitful for us. And as I build my team, we're going to start adding, I'm going to start adding in some Facebook ads and some additional online stuff that we can do to complement our SEO and pay-per-click. And then I think the next thing is, direct mail still works.
Yep.
So we'll add that as well. I think those are the two biggest things that's going to help grow our business into 2018.
So we were talking a little bit. I want to make sure this thing's still on. We were talking about numbers a little bit ago, and share whatever you want to share. But kind of what are you looking at cost per deal right now in your market with the pay-per-click stuff?
Right. So my cost per lead is $112, and then it's I'm getting about 1 out of every 12. So it's cost me for each deal cost me about $1,350.
Yeah.
So I'm able to. I mean, it's just scientific. It's just work the numbers backwards, right?
It's the math, man. It's just what I'm always saying. Is like, if you do the math, trust the math. It removes emotion from the equation, and you're good. So you're doing all SEO and pay-per-click.
Right.
And to give context for that with people, too, you were saying in a video we did a little bit ago, you're like, I may be 40, but I'm in like an 80. I'm like, technology-wise, I'm like an 85-year-old.
Yeah, no. So when I jumped in, I mean, I knew I wanted to go online. I knew it wasn't because I was going to be able to get myself online. Like, I didn't know how to create a website. Backlinks and pixel. I mean, I still don't even know what a lot of that stuff means. I vetted out a great company. You guys were the ones that I went with and said, here, I'll pay. I knew it was worth my time to just cut you guys a check to do the concierge service, help build out our website and manage it all for me.
Yep.
And then let the leads come in and let me do what, I guess one of the things that I've learned through some different masterminds and people I've been around is like, know what your unique ability is. And being an online marketer wasn't my unique ability, and that's not where I wanted to spend my time. I wanted to hire someone that was really good at it, give me the leads so I can go out and close the deals sit down with sellers, and that's what I want to be good at. So hiring someone like you guys was the way to go.
Yeah, and you guys, same thing. Everyone listening, just want to add context. I want to put as much out there that you guys can get value from. Is Blake's paying? You guys are investing like $30,000 a year with us about that, right?
Absolutely.
I guess it probably is exactly that. And then you've got your ad costs and stuff like that. So it's not a couple $100 here in a month here and there, but he chose to take money and put it in there and have other people do it. So he's rather than investing the time, he's investing the money. So everyone listening to this, you guys need to make the decision. Are we going to invest the time or the money? If you don't want to do any of the work, you got to go out there and find the people who can and pay them the fee that they're going to charge to get you the great results. If you don't have the money, you got to put in the time. And that's something, Rashad, you were talking about earlier. Let's kind of shift over to you real quick. Dude, you were putting in the time, and you still are on the direct mail, all that kind of stuff. So what are you doing right now to make your business work on the lead gen side?
Yeah, so my thing right now is direct mail. One thing I do to put in the time is I do a lot of driving for dollars.
Yep.
I'm literally out in the field. I put a lot of miles on my car, a lot of full tanks of gas, not to mention it's a stick, so it's a lot of leg work.
Literally.
Yeah, seriously. But no, man, like I literally have, and there's an app out there, it's called the Drive for Dollars app. It's not a plug or anything, but I'm so used to the Stone Age. I use my notepad. I have a notepad full of addresses, literally driving addresses for hours, writing down addresses that I feel like potentially would sell a house that I feel like an investor should buy. I'm just not a person that and the reason why I do that now is because when I got started, I bought a list and I was mailing that list, and I was not getting any results. I was getting yelled at all the time. People were taking me off your list. Give me $500,000 for my house. It's worth $250,000, and it's I got tired of that. So now I feel like I'm cutting my chances and focusing my ad spend on buying a house that I know could possibly make me money, whether it be they sell instantly or they sell down the road. I just want to be in front of that person because I know when they do sell, it's something that I probably should buy.
So what are you doing to stay in front of people later?
So yeah, I just send mail every month. Like if they get on my list, they're on there until they call me and tell me to take me off, F off, whatever the case may be. Like I'm not afraid to continue to mail you. And I got people that's called me, like, hey, I got a letter from you. I get a letter from you every month, or sometimes they miss them. I don't know if the mail throws away or whatever. Yeah. But like, hey, I got a letter from you. Like, let's talk. And I'm like, when I get to the house, I know which piece because I send a different piece every time. And I'm like, that's like the 6th piece we send you. And then they finally call, and just staying in front of them, being consistent. Yes, it costs money. No, it's not easy, but if you put in the time, you put in the work, and you're willing to put a little bit of money up, whether that be borrowing, which may not be the best, but you gotta do what you gotta do to sacrifice and make it work. So,
and there's one thing I want to bring up real quick, and there's this weird math problem, right? Like with that right there, a lot of people that they think, well, shoot, I'm going to put some money out there for whatever it is, direct mail, pay-per-click, whatever it is. And a lot of people, they'll emotionally tie this number to something. So let's say they were putting mailing pieces out and they did 3 and they didn't get a deal. And you're sitting here going, well, this person was a deal on the 6th. So because you're sticking through and you're mailing longer, which means you're going to invest more to get that, you're actually able to get the revenue. While the other person's stopping at 3 mailings or 4, and they put the money out and said direct mail doesn't work. And so everyone listening to this, you got to make sure, sit down and do the math and work the numbers, figure out what is your average profit per deal, and then go, okay, how many leads does it take me to get one of those deals with this marketing method? And then you need to work it back and go, okay, well, how can I get in front of them with this direct mail or whatever it is? And then you just got to work that math. Well, I'm willing to trade $5,000 for 20 grand or whatever, and then you just start mailing the heck out of that list using that math. If you stop at 2 grand and 2 mailings or whatever, then you basically might as well just burn that money, because you're probably going to be stopping before the math has a chance to work.
Yeah, and Trevor, I mean, with that, the houses I've been to, some houses I've been to, they'll be like, you've been mailing for a while, I've got a couple other letters, and I'll ask them, like, what kind of letters are you getting? And I know pretty much my competition by now. And it's like, hey, I got a couple letters from him, and I'm like, man, I'm doing 6 letters. I'm on top of their head no matter what. Yes, they may still have their letter, they got it, but they called me. Yep. And a lot of the deals I do get, they're so competitive, like sometimes I'm the only game in town, and most of the time those are the best deals. Yeah. And it's just from being consistent, it's just putting forth the effort to keep doing it no matter what, and just trust the process. So
So you're sending a different letter every time, or are you duplicating the same one sometimes?
I try to. Sometimes I get kind of like busy, and I'm just like, okay, just send it out. I have like my wall in my office is full of just a marketing chart. I sent this letter to this. I have like a person number 1 gets this letter. Person number 2 gets this letter. Third touch gets this letter. And so I try to stick with that. Sometimes like letter 3 is like a print envelope, so I'm like, let's do that one, because I'm just like, I need to get this out. But at least I'm getting something in front of them every single time.
So do you have a different tracking number, your phone number you're using for each different letter, so you know when they call this, it came from that one?
I don't. So I'm definitely a lot different than other investors, and part of it's laziness, I'll be honest. But every person that calls me normally is from direct mail. I do get some online stuff. I have a little bit optimized, but most of it comes from direct mail. And, to be honest, I don't really care which piece they get, as long as they get a piece from me, as long as they call.
Yep.
So that's what I go for.
So, Jamie, what are you doing? I know you're doing a bunch of stuff. Carrot's one of them. You're doing a bunch of direct mail. You're doing a lot of stuff. And one thing to set context for this, too, is I've seen. Let's like go to the depths of Facebook land, right? Like I think Facebook sucks, but there's been some people with some customers of ours, and you're one of those. We're like, how did she do 102 deals? And some people have been skeptical about that and some other things. Hearing what you said today or yesterday, you're marketing the heck out of stuff. You're not just putting $5 or $50,000 a month in marketing. So if someone's going, well, they're skeptical on how it can happen, they're not playing the math equation right, and they're not marketing hard. They're staying in a small ballpark with marketing, and they're seeing what their budget's doing, and they're going, there's no way she's doing that. Oh, yeah. Because they're not putting $50K a month into marketing, and to see what that can actually do. So what did you do at the start, and kind of what's your marketing mix look like now?
Yeah, so I mean, at the start, again, I started with a small budget. I got a couple good deals out of the gate. At the start, I just pulled an equity list and mailed postcards. I just heard postcards. So I just got it out there, and I had started listening to a bunch of podcasts, and so I remember consistency was something that was a constant, right? And so I thought, well, let's just get them out there and do the postcards. So as I grew, as I learned and things like that, I went from, doing direct mail, and then from direct mail, I went to pay-per-click, and from pay-per-click, I went to Facebook, and then SEO, and now cold calling. So honestly, the only marketing channels that that I would ever want to be in anyhow, that I'm not doing would be, radio, billboards, or bandit signs.
Yep.
And I don't know that I'll touch on bandit signs. I don't have an issue with them, but here in Dallas-Fort Worth, it is every stop sign that you pull up to, there's a bandit sign. And I don't want to be another one of those bandit signs and people just, calling my girl just not happy and ruining her day. And so there's nothing wrong with them. But I'm in all of those marketing channels. I want to be as long as I can. That way, it takes a good 6 months to get any data from anything. Yeah. And so I really wanted to try to throw all of the ones that I thought were relevant. That way I can really test the data, and no longer is it a guessing game or you're going to constantly test, you're going to constantly try things. But once you have a good amount of data, it's really just moving those dials,
Yep.
And so once I know what it's costing me per deal, it's like, how many deals do I want to get back into that? How much profit from each deal am I getting? So I can really back into like my end goal numbers pretty easily.
Yeah.
And it's so fun. I mean, when I first started, there's no way you can do that. You're 3 months in, everybody's like, keep track of your numbers. Well, that's great, but is it really going to do me any good? It will later, not the first 3 months. But even then, after 6 months, I mean, still things just take time. SEO takes time, you know?
A lot of time.
It definitely takes time. I made $80,000 on my SEO in January. So
that's amazing.
Something like that, that's a big deal. So it works. That's not every single month. So don't get me wrong. Again, we all get lucky, but so I just I want to be in every channel because I know that you can't systematize certain things. Driving for dollars is great. I would love to drive for dollars, and if not myself, at least hire 1 or 2 people to do it. But in the end, there's only so many you're going to get out of that lead source. And there's only so many you'll be able to get out of an SEO, only so many out of Facebook. And so if I want to grow the business, to the level that I would like it to be, I'm going to have to be, all of those hoses are going to have to be running. Yeah.
That's good.
Do you have anything, Adrian?
I like what Jamie said, because I think she opened up a good conversation about, there's always going to be a cap in any type of marketing. And I think if you, like for me, I've been so guilty for years because I think so many people has heard about, all I just do is SEO. That's it, all PPC. Like, it was really cool, right? You hear about it. But then there's limitations in that, right? I mean, that's why I had to go into different markets, because there's only so much I can do.
Yep.
Right? There's only, there's so many dynamics to it to where like, okay, I'm either going to have to go into different markets, or I'm going to have to pivot into new marketing, which I am this year, like Jamie said, cold calling. I mean, I'm like total opposite of cold calling, but at the same time, who says I got to do it?
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, so I'm pivoting in that way. So I think that's such a good point, and I think what everybody is hearing is consistency too. You know what I mean? I think someone listening to this podcast who's just getting started, forget about the sexy CRM or all these different things. Like, I mean, I love what you said about just a piece of paper, drive for dollars, and I'm sure you're making sacrifices in your personal life to make sure that there's always gas in the car and stick shift, and but that's cool. Yeah, I mean, it's cool. I mean, he's making it happen, and I love that you're not doing it perfectly. I mean, you've admitted that, but you're just consistent. Like, I love the fact that you just said, I don't care whatever, that you're just going to get a mail piece. Like, I think so many investors get so caught up in it. What mail piece, what postcard, what letter, and
they end up not sending it out.
Nothing at all. So
overanalyze everything.
Right. And so that's really cool to hear. So hopefully someone will hear this and just take action.
So I want to wrap it with one little quick thing, because this podcast is running longer than I thought, but it's been awesome. Like, it's almost an hour, but I think we've had some awesome conversation. That's probably why it's been going so fast. But I want to wrap it with this is I know we talked a lot at the Mastermind about life stuff. There's that we all are looking at growing these businesses. It's all pretty cool and seeing different numbers and going for this and things like that. But at the end of the day, we started it for certain reasons, and we're hoping to have the business fuel something. And you just hope you don't get lost in the way. And on the way, you hope that you don't get lost going, oh, shoot, this is what I was wanting originally, and that's what I was really dreaming about, and this is what I was moving away from. But then there was this fork in the road that took me in a different direction that might be really shiny too, but I'm less happy doing that. So I just want to toss out to you guys that it kind of, as you're along on this journey, what is it that in this phase of your guys' businesses you truly want out of the business now? And what are you doing to make sure that the business doesn't eat you alive along the way? It fuels your life instead of your life fueling your business.
Tough question. For me, I'm realizing now, like, I'm a one-man show, and it's tough, man. It's tough to have time to do pretty much anything else besides the business. Like, I'm here right now. I didn't do any marketing this whole week for a reason, because I know I'm gonna get phone calls during the Mastermind, and guess who's answering those calls?
Yeah.
So I'm realizing now that what I got started was, I want to have a cool income, I want to make a little bit of money, but I'm realizing too, I also want to have some freedom. So what I've made a plan to do this year, once I start to build my team, is I want to start some of these properties I'm flipping. Instead of selling them, I'm gonna keep them. I'm gonna keep them, pull my money out, and try to keep that and have some passive income coming in. So if I do take some time off, if I do want to, or if I have it, or just need to pay my team, or whatever the case may be, I have a little bit of residuals coming in, because now I'm just strictly relying on flip profits right now. And so for me, I definitely want to have a little bit more of a passive lifestyle. I definitely didn't think about that when I want to do all these flips and deals and stuff. But now I'm just like, I'm like, you need to refocus. And Corey Peterson talked about that. Like, what did you get in the business for? And I got in the business for rentals. And the reason I got in for rentals is because I wanted passive cash flow. But then I realized you can make more money flipping. And so I started chasing that. And so now I'm like, let me kind of step back a little bit. I can still do the flipping. I can still have some good money coming in from that. But let me have a little bit of residuals to give me some more freedom as well. So
what would you do with the freedom? And what does freedom look like for you?
It's changed a lot. I mean, this year I've been in 4 different states, which is not my thing. I hate to travel. I don't like hotels, nothing. But I'm realizing I really can't stand it. And like what I'm realizing now is, how can I go somewhere and accommodate myself? So one thing I do, and it's being super vulnerable, is I get a big room, and it's not like being ego, but I get like a suite, so I have some space. So I'm not confined to just my bed and sleep in, bed and TV. I have like a couch, like a lounge on and stuff like that, and get a hotel with a business center so I can still get some work done. And don't stay too long. I know, like, I'm at my max right now. That's why I'm flying out tonight. I'm like, I'm at my max. I need to go back home, recharge, get away from people. I'm very introverted. So when I do that, I can recharge. But I would love to travel, man. I would love to be hanging out on the beach for like a week. It'd be tough. I'm going to try, hopefully, this year. But I found that I do like going other places and seeing other places outside of California. Like, just how people look at California and think of San Francisco, San Diego. I think California is like everything, because I'm always at home. So it's cool to go to other places. Like, I went to Florida this year and I loved it. Tampa was great. Trust me, I came back home right after the event, but I would love to go back and actually vacation and actually hang out there. So
I love it, man. Blake.
Awesome. Yeah, I got into the business, or I thought, like, what real estate would provide you is time, and it can provide you time, but if it can also take your time away, right? And it was really what it would provide for my wife and our family and what we wanted. So I think those I've grown since 2012, I've seen, like, you working hard and the time that it can take away. And I was lucky to turn 40 this year, and it kind of hit home, just like, hey, I really want to, less is more. And when I say less is more, like, a lot of times you find yourself acquiring, you want the bigger house, you want the better car, and all those things are fine, whatever, but it's like, to continue to have those things, where am I going to be at in 10 years? And so, what am I going to be happy with having? And, like, what's that ceiling? And then where can I be at in 10 years to have the time freedom to retire, or not even retire, but just really what can I give back? And I think some of the things that I think about is, like, that I want to long-term or be able to create and do is, like, creating a company that teaches people financial disciplines and getting out from underneath the credit card debt and the money thing that I think that holds people back and really probably ruins relationships.
Is there anything personal there? Like, did you go through any of that yourself, or you've seen it kind of?
No, the best thing that happened to me is right out of college, I went to work for Wells Fargo as a credit manager. And what we did was we sold loans and credit cards and that to people, and I'd refinance their mortgages. And with the appreciation of the market, we'd pay off all their credit card debt, reduce their payments, and then, like, within 6 to 12 months, they'd come back, or they'd, taken out a loan. I'd see their credit, and I'd be like, you have another $50,000 in credit card debt. Like, what the heck are you doing, right? Like, they were living. And so I just think it's such where we're at as a society, we just always want more. But it's really for short-term things that we want to fulfill. And I don't think people really understand, like, if they just got rid of the debt and didn't always really need more things, but could spend more time with their family, what true happiness could come from it. So hopefully through this real estate thing, I'll put something together in the next 5 years or 10 years that would allow me to maybe have a second business to teach that. So,
dude, I love it. We'll be the first one to get it out to our customers, man, for sure. Adrian, what about you?
Oh man, I think for me, what Blake said, as you get older, you kind of lose that whole materialistic part. I think we all go through that. And so for me, I don't know, I'm kind of on this really weird journey. Like I feel like I've gotten to where I'm at by serving and by giving, right? I mean, which is really powerful principles. But here's the thing. So even though it's a powerful principle, it was always outward, and I've reaped the benefits of it. Don't get me wrong. It's opened up powerful opportunities. I seize those opportunities, and here I am being able to hang out with cool people, very high-achieving people, and it's really, really cool. But my goal is really now to start giving my family. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just at that point to where like I've sacrificed so much, even though they're good things. Now it's time for me to serve them, give to them, and I think Gary V's been saying this for years, and it's not about currency, it's about legacy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So I just think life is so short. That exercise it's like I've heard it for the third time, and it's like, boom, like it still hits you
every time.
I was too.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
too.
It's like life is so short. Anything can happen. And sometimes we think that we have all the time in the world. We don't, literally. So that's kind of my focus, and that's why I've embedded myself in this culture with Carrot, because we are a company that just gives, and there's a mission in place, which to me there's something so powerful and dynamic about it. So it's just not about me.
I love it. Jamie, what about you?
So initially, I got into this business. I wanted to just make 6 figures a year. And I thought, gosh, if I can make 6 figures a year, my life has changed. It's done. I'm over, Well, that happened. And I thought, well, okay, I need to have a 7-figure business, So if I can have a 7-figure business, like that's the pinnacle, like I can do this. And so that happened. And so then I thought, okay, well, what's the next step? I like going and achieving something and reaching a goal. And so really right now it's led me to, right now it's all about residual. On my screensaver, it says residual income rocks. I wanted to do this because I don't like people telling me what to do. I don't want to be in a box, and I wanted my freedom. But I knew that it was going to take a lot of work, but I wanted to get it over quickly. It's like, ripping the Band-Aid. I'm like, okay, let me grind for 2, 3, 4 years so hard, and then like I'm out. Like someone else will run it. I'm done. And so I really am on a good path to do that. I would, I'd like to have, I don't know how many rentals I have backed it in, but I think $250,000 a year coming in residual would be plenty to do anything. Yep. I still drive my car's 10 years old. I could go get a new car tomorrow, but I don't. I'm happy with it. It's fine. I'm still at that teeter-totter, like materialistic things and not. Especially the female in me. It's like, well, we want the pretty, watch, or the house on the beach, or, the pretty dress. And so I still teeter with, oh, that's really awesome. But then I'm like, it almost seems like the more small success that I have, but success compared to what it was, the less I care about those kinds of things. It's really interesting. It's like when I didn't have it, I had to have the new car or the new kitchen or whatever it was. And now it's like, well, I guess that void has been filled by actual success and helping others and giving to people and learning from other people. And so that hollowness that was there it's not completely full, but it's not something that I wake up and I'm like, oh, I've got to get to this today. So really it's like the legacy is huge for me, is being able to pass something on to, if something happened to my husband and, he got in a car accident and he couldn't walk or whatever, like to be able to know that our family is going to be taken care of. I'm going to make sure we're okay. And it's going to be easy residual income coming in. The business will run on its own and I'll have somebody do that. And then my daughter, to be able, I just think that's so cool to know that if I do everything that I'm supposed to do and that it will happen, she's never going to have to worry. And if I set it up right for her, her kids won't either. It can keep passing down in that legacy. And in the end, since I was younger, I've always dreamed and wanted to, go to other countries and like just be there for 2 months and help with missions and help with so many projects that's going. But unfortunately, in our world today, we have children that have school, we have bills we have to pay. You know, it's not always that easy. Just, well, you want to give, go ahead and just go on, go give for the 2 months. It's not that simple, you know. So to be able to know that I don't have to worry about bills, my daughter she'll be in college, you know, in 4.5, 5 years. Like, I'll be 40 and I can give back the way I've wanted to give back, abundantly, financially, and with my heart, and the level of success that I hope that I get to as far as just the residual income and things like that. I feel like that can be very inspiring for women, you know, and people that are struggling in many different things. I've got lots of life circumstances that I've struggled through, and I feel like I can connect with a lot of people. And honestly, I mean, you know, if it's not my time, if God's not ready for me, I'll have a good amount of time to you know, talk about those things and inspire people and help people. And so, I don't know, that's something that really is cool, and that's why I'm trying to do it so quickly. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, 100 deals in your second year. And well, yes, because I only want to do this hard for like 3 or 4 years most, and then I'm back with my family again, you know, like it's a run to the races and then I'm back. You know, this is not a lifestyle for me. This is a grind and let's get out quick, you know, so yeah.
No, this conversation's been amazing, guys.
What about you, Trevor, real quick?
What about me? I say mine like every time on the podcast, man. So, no, so yeah, I mean, this stuff right here, you know, where we were talking in there that when you get to a certain point, where you've already passed your income goals and things like that, I don't know, the income part of it isn't exciting anymore. So this stuff right here is what I get pumped about, is hearing you guys talk about. Like, this last 10 minutes has been my favorite part, because then it's like, awesome, the business is all this, but this is why we have the business, is to fuel this other thing over here. And then you hope that we then make an impact with that. We don't squander our opportunity in our businesses, you're chasing these things that are shallow, that at the end, no one's going to write that stuff in a thank you note to you or whatever. It's the time that we spent actually taking that gift we've been given with these businesses to then go enrich other people's lives. So that's why I do what I do. It's our stated mission at Carrot: add humanity to business and help people regain that time in their lives for things that matter. And so that's what we're really pushing in the business. How do we make our software easier? Because we know there's things that aren't as easy as they need to be yet. And we're like, how do we make that easier? And we rolled out, here's a good example, and this is a microcosm of it, and we'll wrap the podcast, but with our stated mission being that way, and we know when we do that, we can really unleash our entrepreneurs to go out there and change the world, or their communities at least, or at least their families. And every second that they're spending doing things that they shouldn't be doing that are unleashing that, then we're going, how can we remove that from them? And so one big request people have been asking for Carrot is like SSL, right? The SSL secure thing on your website. Yeah. And so we challenged our developers at it. We said, okay, this is happening, and we're going to get ahead of the curve on it. But can we make it so easy that people just, like, it just happened? You know, where you don't have to go and go buy an SSL certificate somewhere and then go do the thing to get it validated on your server and then go do this. And I've done that a bunch of times. And it's $50 to $100 a year for your SSL usually. And then it's 30 minutes to an hour to answer the emails and do this and attach that. And you hope you don't default on your SSL, and then you're like, all that crap, right? We made it so easy, so where literally you click a button if you have an existing site and it's secure. And we automatically update it for you. It's free. You never think about it. If you launch a new site, you never have to think about it. Like, you launch a site, it's automatically secure forever for free. And so that's like an example. We could have done it to where the original proposal the developers had was about 2 or 3 steps. And then my CTO, looking at our mission, he's like, no, it's got to happen all automatically, like to where the person doesn't even know what's happening. And then our programmer's like, I think I can do that. And he's like, no, it's happening. So that's the way it's going to happen, because that's what our mission is. And if we do it this way, that further complicates things. And I know when I tested it the first time, I clicked the one button on my existing site. Like I said, new sites you launch and it just happens. It's, you don't have to do anything. But existing sites, I clicked that one button and I clicked save. And I'm like, what next? And they go, no, it's like done. Like, did it do anything? Like, no, it's done. Yep, it is secure, I guess. So that's a microcosm of this. It's like, how do we use this platform to go out there and help you guys regain that time, so you can go help with financial education, so you can go leave that legacy for your family and help empower women, and so you can go, build that empire, and then really help go travel and start to enjoy and enrich your life and your family's lives and people around you, and inspire other people. Like, you have friends who are looking at what you're doing, going, man, I don't like my job, and he took a chance. how do I help inspire you now to inspire them even more? And that's what I do. So that's what I love to do. So I appreciate the heck out of you guys hanging out here for an hour chatting. I know we did this very impromptu, so anyone listening to this, we did not plan this. So that's why we don't have professional audio equipment here. It's on my cell phone in a boardroom, so hopefully the audio quality is okay. And I just kind of turned the phone around to each person as we were talking, so it might be quieter or louder for some, but hopefully you get some good messages, and hopefully you're inspired by these 4 completely different stories, different parts of the country, different ages, different focuses on their business, different lead gen. Everything's different about them. So if there's anything in here that people are coming up with excuses for why you can't do it, what these awesome people have done, then, and if you leave this podcast with that mindset, it's on you. It's on no one else. So appreciate listening to the podcast. So anyone have any parting comments or words leaving this episode of the CareCast?
Man, just work hard, man. Just create a vision, work hard, go after it. Don't let anybody stop you. And just remember to give back, because a lot of people help you to get to where you're at. So when you do get to that place, after you've worked hard, you've been through it, you've cried, you've fought, make sure you give back and help people that help you got there. Help your community. If you're in the church, give to your church, do what you do, but make sure you give back to the people that helped you.
Love it. Any others?
Just take action. I mean, that's the most important thing. Giving back is very important, but you can't give back if you don't take action. So you have to take action to get what you need. The two most important things I ever heard from any mentor was take action and consistency. And if you will take action and be consistent with that action, you will eventually get whatever goal you're trying to obtain.
I love it. I love it.
One thing for me is surround yourself with the right people. In business, it is lonely. It's hard. You need that support. Don't let things bottled in. You're going to have friends and family that mean well, but they don't understand what you're going through. So masterminds, I don't know, just find a group of people that you can trust that are doing what you're doing, whether they're ahead of you, a little bit behind you. Find a group. It's going to make all the difference in terms of just being able to have that mentorship in some aspect.
I don't want to leave you out, Blake. Even if you didn't have one, you got one now.
I had one. Adrian stole mine. I was like, but I think it really comes down to, I mean, everyone said it best. Take action. You're not whatever your fears are, whatever you're thinking. Everyone's going through it, and find someone in your market to latch onto and reach out and just make yourself vulnerable and ask questions and go out and get after it, because it's worth it. And if you're staying up late, driving those roads, and you shed some tears, we've all been there, and we'll see you on the other side.
Yep.
Sweet. Thank you, guys. That was awesome.